I call this the Sacred Heart letter because it is something that will come to you from a higher source, a higher plane, if you will. In a sense, you are channeling your higher guidance. I have had reason lately to use this technique. I have used it in the past. I think it is extremely helpful, and you can adapt it to whatever particular situation you find yourself in. Just for clarity and for ease of explanation, I'm going to sort of come from the angle that perhaps you need to make a decision, or you have made a decision. You have doubts and fears, and the situation's complex. So you can't be sure that what you're doing is right. So it just gives a little bit of context. But it can be adapted for any purpose. So the first thing is to obviously have that subject matter, that purpose, and you can have as many as you wish. So are you speaking, do you wish to speak to your future self? Do you wish to be speaking to a past self? To a particular situation? These are the things you need to have in mind, which you obviously will have uppermost in your mind before you do this. The state that we're going to drop into is a heart-centered space, and this is where you will connect with spiritual forces, cosmic forces, if you will, of unconditional love. And that's the key to what we're doing here. The first thing to do is relax completely, be alone, and touch your actual physical heart. Because by touching your physical heart, it focuses your consciousness on that area, and by doing so, you are also connecting with your spiritual heart. Once you're quiet and in tune with this area, you begin to invoke feelings of love, and this can be done by imagining or remembering a loved one and the feelings that are associated with that. You could be dropping into those feelings you have for a child or a parent. I would stay away from romantic relationships, however, because they tend to be fraught with all sorts of complexities. What I would recommend is using a pet, either past or present, because the relationships that we have with our beloved animals are very much less complex. Remember how it is to be loved without borders, that unconditional love, or if you have never experienced that, imagine how that would be. Is there a character from a film or a film scene that inspires you in this way? I can't particularly think of a film, but what does pop into my mind is the relationship in Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, the relationship between Pip and Joe Gargery, and how Joe never wavered from his love of Pip despite all the bad behaviour and misunderstandings that were there with Pip. This is really a good description of unconditional love. Alternatively, you could invoke a deity, a goddess figure, your higher self, your holy guardian angel, any archetype really of unconditional love is what you need to be really feeling. Music is a great way to help you come into that state. You have to choose your own music that moves you in that way, but you might want to consider Robbie Williams' Angels. I know it's a cheesy pop song, but if you really listen to the lyrics, that describes unconditional love brilliantly. And if you love the song, use that. But of course, if you hate it, that would be counterproductive. So once you have fully invoked that state, you begin to write your letter. I will give some examples in a moment of the sort of language you need to be using, but you have to be very careful with the language that you use. But really, what do you want to say to yourself? What would a loving, kind mother or father or grandparent even figure be saying to you? Or even what would you be saying to yourself as that character, as that higher self? Get it all down as a first draft, and it can be edited later. Remember to always use kindness, kind words, gentleness, grace, understanding, never ever harsh words or any kind of recriminatory language. Once you're happy and once you're writing out the final draft, make it special. Make it ceremonial. You could anoint your letter, write it on beautiful paper, light a candle, do these things. It's not absolutely necessary, but it just has a way of alerting the deep mind to the importance of what's going on here. Just to get you in the mood, I have taken a quotation from Romeo and Juliet, which speaks of unconditional love, and it goes, "My bounty is as boundless as the sea, my love as deep. The more I give to thee, the more I have, for both are infinite." Now, if you're like me, you're not quite as poetically inclined as that, but I begin my letter with, "You are reading this because," and then I describe the circumstances. And these are the kind of things you want to be writing. You are always supported and cherished in spirit. You are a capable person who's experienced many blows and heartaches, but you've always come through and you'll continue to come through. Sometimes pain and heartbreak are necessary to put you on the right path. I'm so proud of you. Hold your head up high and walk in strength and love. Come to these words whenever you feel alone and fearful. They are my gift to you, and you deserve to know how much you're loved. This sort of gives you a flavour of the sort of language, really, and messages that you are drawing down from your higher guidance. We're not about whitewashing ourselves here. repressing our darker side or our faults even. In fact, these can be addressed in the letter itself if it's appropriate, but it must be addressed in loving, supportive ways and never recriminatory. We all have flaws, it's a condition of life, and we do want to be realistic. So it's important not to write things that you really don't believe, because that will be sort of counter to what you're trying to achieve. Write it as an angel would speak to you, or as a trusted mentor, someone who cares deeply and guides gently. We are writing in the spirit of unconditional love. So once you finish, store it well. It may be something that you want to read every day, and that's absolutely fine. It will depend on your circumstances and why you are writing the letter. The programming in this letter is incredibly powerful for your subconscious. So use reverence in your writing and in your approach, and store it in a way that you know that this is a sacred text.